Oh, what fresh devilry have we got to deal with this week? In this week's episode of Chateau Capers, I tackle some emergency plastering, Jane tackles a tricky camera angle, and we go on an epic rescue mission of tiny proportions. This dress, last seen cast on the floor of the bridal suite after our wedding, would be the setting for some renewed excitement.
Jane has just shouted me because she said that there's a bat on her wedding dress in the room where we're showering at the minute. So I'm going to have a look at this bat.
Whilst Jane took a shower, I searched for the nighttime home invader. At first I couldn't see it, and then... This was, in fact, a bat pup, and after a little online search, we judged it to be about 2 weeks old. We identified it as a baby pipistrelle. Exactly how it ended up on a dress on a bed, we aren't sure. Perhaps it was being reared in the top of the tower and it found its way into the room through a tiny opening. This theory may be backed up by the odd dust patterns on the ceiling. Reading online, it seemed the best thing to do would be to keep the bat pup warm. Not a problem. The room was roasting. And make sure Mum could come back and find it through an open window or door. Just to give you an idea of size, stretched out when crawling from front claw to front claw was about as long as my index finger. Its head and body combined were about the size of the end of my thumb. This room doesn't yet have curtains, so it was finding it difficult to find a dark place to hide. We know we aren't meant to touch them, so for now we left it alone and got on with our day. Chateau DIY were coming to film us, but this time the crew would be staying in rooms. This meant rooms in the gîte part of the chateau. This included the creaky bedroom. Whilst not finished, it is close to completion. But since I was still working in there, it was a mess. Before we tidied the room again, I really wanted to get some of the top trim fixed to the panelling. Jane had already painted the top trim white to match the crown moulding, so it just needed cutting and fitting. The tricky part was holding it in place while I nailed it. Lacking an extra pair of hands, I managed to make do with a small clamp. Next up was to fix another section of my homemade skirting board. Whilst it may not be as perfectly formed as an off-the-shelf industrially produced skirting, I'm extremely proud of how well it's turned out. Another time I will smooth out any imperfections at the joins. My last bit of progress was to fix the top trim to the wainscoting on the wallpapered wall. I think this means that all the wainscot panelling is now complete. Whilst there is still work to do in the ensuite, the bedroom itself is tantalisingly close to completion. Time to tidy up. If you're enjoying this video, please press that like button. If you can hype us a little, that'd be wonderful too. We're told it helps us reach new audiences. And do drop a comment and say hello. Well, baby bat is still there. It's now dusk, I suppose, but it's the longest day of the year, so dusk is a long time coming. But I'm
leaving the door open. It's a very hot night, so there's no chance that baby's going to get cold. And we'll hope that maybe Mummy will come back and find it. If not, tomorrow we'll have to call a back rescue centre or something, see if they have any suggestions on what we can do.
We left it alone and hoped its mother would come back in the night and that it would be gone in the morning. And it was! The next morning I went to check and I couldn't find the baby anywhere. I checked the bed, under the bed, around the mattress, all through the dress, bedside tables. One half of the room I felt sure it wouldn't be able to reach because of a polished wooden step with a rounded top. So I was positive the baby was reunited with its mum. Hooray!
I had been working on plastering and smoothing the wall at the bottom of the stairs. I'd never attempted plastering before and was using a filler mix. It may not have been the best job in the world, but I was quite proud of myself. I didn't think it would be dry in time for wallpapering on camera for Château DIY, so I dissuaded Rory from plastering the ceiling, but the weather was so hot that after 48 hours it seemed like it would be okay. The film crew arrived and I asked Rory if he could do an emergency ceiling plastering. That way I'd be able to wallpaper the next day. I helped out a bit by plugging holes around the plasterboard with insulation. It wasn't a large ceiling area, but it had to be done before we could start the filming day. So whilst the camera crew filmed all of their start of day before shots, Rory got to work. He plastered the first coat and then scrim taped before plastering the second coat. Between applying coats and smoothing, Rory had to stop for interviews and on-camera chats. It was a whirlwind start to the filming day, but somehow it was all done in an hour. Well done, Rory.
Meanwhile, I got to work building a stud wall. The actual building of the stud wall was the easy part. This metal frame system is straightforward to use, although you do need to watch out for sharp edges after cutting it. I wore leather gloves whilst trimming a section and still managed to stab myself in the finger. The wiring for the lighting in the shower room was all over the place. It took me an age to work out how to rewire the room's new layout, but it should be straightforward at this point. Once we're ready, we can get an electrician to check everything. For the moment, I was just pleased to be building the wall to finally create the shower room space. Now here's a glimpse into the filming process with Chateau DIY.
Rory, give me the one shot, so just put the drill in the hole, and then just drop it down and kind of go, oh, but that was a bit tricky or something like that, so hold on, off you go. Yeah, so as if you put it in, and give you a reaction.
Oh, that's in. 2 more screws to do, but that was a little bit harder than I was expecting.
With a one-camera shoot, we have to repeat shots, so there is a wide shot and then a close-up.
So you're looking up, again you have to put the drill in and then drop it down.
Yeah, so that one or that next one?
Either one, and just give me that perfect reaction again, yeah?
Oh, perfect. I looked at the camera then.
Yeah, I didn't want it to be at the camera, just, to the ether.
Perfect.
To the gods of DIY, so hold on, yeah, off you go.
So far, the stud wall is going in really well. I don't want to curse it, but it might be a job that actually finishes on time for once.
The wall build went smoothly, but it gives you an idea of how time is added when we stop to film different angles and have on-screen chats about progress.
At the end of the first day, I prepped the wall with a dilute solution of wallpaper paste to seal it. The next day, I was in the hot seat for wallpapering. I'd had a quick look at what wallpaper options I had and rejected the design I'd originally chosen as being too basic and went instead for this fine botanical print that I'd intended for our bedroom. It was a split-second decision. Whilst I think it's very pretty, I have since worried that it's rather too bedroomy. I have seen pictures of it used to good effect in a kitchen, so I just hope the scheme comes together when the walls are painted and the hallway and landing are finished. Yes, I am still wearing the same outfit, washed daily. It was the most comfortable option. With 40-degree heat outside, we were all melting. Little did I realise that I'd made the job of filming me modestly rather difficult as I bent over and stretched across from this modified ladder balanced on the stairs. 2 cameras were trained on me to film any mistakes as I struggled to reach up the wall. The pattern matching was right, but I cut the paper a little short twice. Never mind, we'll be replacing the window trim, so ultimately it won't matter. Tinkerbell had been running around on 3 legs.
Why have we got a cone on our head, Tinkerbell? And why is one paw shaven and skinny and the other paw hairy and fluffy?
Terrified that she might have a grass seed in her paw, Rory shaved it so we could have a good look. We found a small wound above the paw which did not entirely allay our fears. We spent €100 at the vet's having her examined and receiving antibiotics and painkiller, but fortunately it all healed up in a couple of days.
The camera crew have gone and this is the stud wall up, which is brilliant because that now means that the only way into the shower room is through the doorway that I made. It's very exciting. It's an actual room now. I was just about to go in the shower, hence my lack of t-shirt, when I saw in the door frame something I really didn't want to see. It's the baby bat. It's still here, still alive. This is over a day later. I'm amazed the poor thing's still alive. So I think we're going to have to take it to the vets and hope that they can help.
We had an appointment at the vet's for Tinkerbell, and so I asked the vets if we could bring the baby back to them. The nurse replied that they do not look after wild animals, but she gave the number of a charity that does. I called the number and left a message on the answering machine. I called several more times, but there was no response. We found the number of a bat association, but they also did not pick up the phone or call us back. We still heard nothing. Rory researched the best way to hydrate a baby bat, and it said to let it lick water off a cotton bud. We didn't have one, so Rory used the corner of his shirt to offer it some wet cloth, and it licked that. He was very careful not to touch the bat. We hoped its mother would come for it that night, but the next day it was still there. Rory then put out an appeal on Facebook to see if anyone knew what we could do. We were given another number to call, and finally a kind lady responded by text and advised us how to proceed using the salad bowl method. We would have to wait until dusk.
The heat wave has turned the top floor of the chateau into an oven hot enough to bake pottery. Since I usually edit videos on the top floor, I've had to retreat to the library, or bibliothèque, as we say here in France. This has allowed the smallest of our family's furballs to regain entry to the room they lived in as tiny kittens. Galadriel, our white and black warrior, destroyer of leaves and loose feathers, loves to climb the ladder and hide on the shelves behind the books. This used to mean that we'd come in to feed the kittens on a morning and think a poltergeist had had a tantrum. This time she was a little more respectful of her surroundings. I had a spare couple of hours, and rather than relax, some part of my brain decided I need to do a few rows of tiling. Personally, I'd have been much happier floating about in the pool, but apparently I didn't get a say in the matter, which is odd, because I'm also the only one who did have a say in the matter. If that makes sense to you, perhaps your brain works in a similar way to mine. Whilst I daydreamed about fruity cocktails and inflatable flotation aids, I was having a dreadful time with the tiling. The mix was a little thick for my liking, and I was finding pressing the tiles into place hard work. Either they wanted to sit proud of their neighbour tile, or the adhesive was oozing up through the gaps. This all put me in a bit of a thunderous mood. I then found that some of the tile levelling clips placed during an earlier tiling session were now somehow in the way, and therefore wouldn't allow the fresh tiles to sit correctly. I had to scrape and scratch at the edges of the dry tiles to remove the clips. It did not improve my mood. I'd laid 6 tiles in the time it would normally take me to do 3 times that amount on a good day. I carried on anyway, mostly so I didn't waste the adhesive, and then made up another batch, this time actually getting the consistency the way I like it. The next row went on a lot better. I don't think it improved my mood, but at least it didn't make it any worse. We all have days like that. The consolation prize was that I'd pushed myself to get some work done that I really hadn't wanted to do. My mood improved immediately. It was Batty Bat's last chance. Following the advice we'd been given, we put a tall drinking glass inside a sock inside a large bowl. The tall glass creates a raised perch. The sock is for grip.
Poor tiny little baby. So small. Maybe you can back off onto there. There we go. There we go.
Its mother should be able to land and carry it away. The large bowl was to stop it crawling away on its own and getting lost. There was nothing more we could do. We quietly wished it luck and went to bed. I'd placed the camera too close to the table, which is why Batty Bat is bleached out. Almost immediately there were bats circling. Whether they were interested in the table or that they knew the baby was there, we don't know, but it was gaining a lot of attention. There was some definite table circling. An hour later, and it seemed little Batty Bat was actively trying to be found. It was a very warm night, but even so, the temperature was slowly dropping, and baby bats have no way to regulate their temperature. Perhaps it was calling out for its mum. Just how it had the energy to go on, I don't know. It was Wednesday night, and it had had no food for days, and hadn't accepted any water since yesterday. Several hours later, and the adult bats were still showing an interest. One kept going to and from the wall to the table. The mother, another sympathetic adult. The bats hunted and circled the area all through the night, getting ever closer. The baby must have been calling out for help. Surely it would be rescued. In the morning, I came back to see if the baby bat had gone home. To my utter heartbreak, it was still there.
Well, I thought if the baby bat wasn't found by its mother last night, it would probably be dead this morning from lack of food and the cooling night air, although it only dropped to about 23 degrees overnight. But here we are. I'm now feeding the bat with lightly sugared water. It wouldn't take anything yesterday, which is why I thought it was 4 days now or something since it's had its mother. And this amazing little creature is still strong. It's still licking. So I really hope I can find some way to save it.
Baby bats need to keep their body temperature high, and after being outside all night, it must have been in a critical condition. No mother's milk for 4 days and no water for almost 2. Its chances of survival were becoming vanishingly small. I got back in touch with the bat specialist to see if there was anything left we could do before it was too late.
Goodbye, little bat. Safe travels.
Batty Bat's luck continued. The rescue lady was coincidentally working within half an hour's drive of us. If we could get there, she would take the baby. We met up in a hospital car park and handed over the little box. She had special bat milk formula and said she was looking after 3 little ones already, so our baby would have company. She also said that if it grew up successfully, she would bring it back to the chateau to release into its colony. We were thrilled and so relieved.
It's just creature after creature. Whoa!
It's gone.
It's gone.
Went down the chimney, do you think?
Yeah. Yeah,
Silly
the pipes on the
bird.
chimney and flopped in.
Silly bird.
Well, we came out to do the horses because big thunderstorm and hooray, thunder and lightning. This is cool now. I'm actually a bit cold. And we came out because it was raining heavily and it's not meant to stop for hours and hours and hours. And we got absolutely soaked. And now it's easing off. Now I've finished. It's easing off so much that Percy's come outside. I don't know why though, because there's still a lot of thunder around. Anyway, I'm going to go towel off.
This storm ran into the night. Had we failed to get the baby fostered, we wouldn't have been able to put it outside again, and its fate would almost certainly have been sealed. A week later, we received a photo message. Baby Bat had found a friend and was quite literally under its wing.
Thank you so much for following the adventures of Batty Bat. We'll see you next time.